What do we do when we get sick of healing people in Mythic Plus? Well, pick another alt and do some horrific visions, of course. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Gyro here. Back to horrific visions, my friends. This is gonna be a little fun run on my Feral Druid alt. First of all, let's take a look at what I have. So here, what's special about it? The cloak is really low. The cloak is only rank 4. Reduction of sanity, damage to the sanity, drain of the sanity is only 25%. And I have Twilight Devastation. Twilight Devastation not of the highest rank, but it is definitely, as I will show you in the run just in a few minutes, it definitely contributed to the positive outcome of this run at this very low cloak level. As you just saw from the Mother's Archives talents, I only have Cranial Defibrillation, well, aside from just a little increase to my damage, 15%. This is not my other feral alt, the one that I've been telling you about all along. This is not my Horde Druid, who also happens to be called Zulu Bear. Blame my lack of imagination, but it's not this guy. It's not this guy who actually happens to be completely randomly, very, very evenly geared compared to this current alt. But at the same time, he had a much higher and more potent cloak, and this cloak is rank 13, offers over 70% of reduction of sanity drain, and that, my friends, compared to 25% is a huge difference. So again, what's so special about this run? Why should you even bother looking at it as a casual player? Well, I'm offering you another feral who will be pushing within obviously scale of the push available to this kind of character. So only 3 chests, but when you only have 25% sanity drain reduction and not much else to your name aside from that little baby Twilight Devastation, well, I thought it would be worth your while to take a look at this as someone who may be leveling alts, and once again seeking the answer to the question of how low can you go and how far can you push theoretically at this item level. Now, the rest of the video, I'm just going to be, it's unscripted as you can see. I will just be doing my usual thing, what this channel started with, and talking to you about the particulars of this run. Maybe a few pointers here and there, few things that resonated with me doing this. Well, I'm going to say second time on Feral, but obviously I did it a lot more times overall between the 2 Feral alts that I have. Now, first of all, as I already said, if you pay attention to the sanity bar, it drains practically like water. It is really it's really confronting when you have done this on your mains, when you have done this on other better developed alts with higher ranks of cloak. You have to do this, or you have to watch this kind of closely to just appreciate why did I even put that meme guy who was like ooh on the thumbnail of this video, because it's pushing 3 chests even as a feral druid at this item level and at this kind of drain that practically just and your sanity goes, is relatively hard, and that's what I have fun doing. If you're new here, particularly warm welcome to you. I have to take a nod towards my new additions to my crowd. Really appreciate you guys being here, stopping by. If this is your type of content, and if you enjoy horrific visions and are a little bit bored before Shadowlands Alpha, take a look at the channel, take a look at what kind of content I cover, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, what else is there to say? Twilight Devastation. So shortly in this Valley of Spirits, I think a little going forward. So as we start proceeding on those little bridges going that way, you will see that I will open the recount window and show you just how much damage Twilight Devastation does. It's not about the sheer numbers. It is more about percentage of how much it does for compared to the normal pump out of the damage that a feral alt of this type of item level within this item level range can do. You just saw that I started using stealth a lot more confidently, even though I got stuck there for a second. And I took a side way. I took a sidewalk, like I didn't go straight across the bridge to skip one group which was fairly successful. It's obviously not the first time I did it. I did have a rehearsal before, but I do recommend this path in case you don't know. But stealth up and go along the far wall as I just did, and that will save you a few extra seconds there. So obviously goes without saying that at this item level and with this cloak rank, with such a strong drain of your sanity, you have to look for any shortcuts. You absolutely do. And even with the shortcuts, as you will see, there will be a moment where I'll lose Cranial Defibrillation, or you're just seeing the Twilight Devastation was there, demonstrated to you as the second most damaging spell I have. So I will lose Cranial Defibrillation at one point, and it will overall, towards the end of it, it will still feel like a push, mainly because of how little time I'm given by this non-timer but a timer that is really the drain of the sanity. So that is probably the main thing to point out for you, as well as the skips. Now this fight, normally with this Oblivion Elemental, it normally doesn't give me any grief, and we know that it's fairly squishy, especially if it's bleeding. Like, you know, the health of that Elemental goes down. Problem is that right here, in case you're wondering what happened, I lost sight of that orb, of the sanity restoration orb. I didn't see where he actually threw it, where the elemental spawned it. Luckily, there is looks like there is just a internal little timer. Even if you didn't find an orb, didn't step onto it, it will still unsilence you, and you can still make your abilities. So that didn't cause me particularly any grief, but I did pay attention to it. Now, on the way back, I realized that finally, and I will talk about this a little bit more in a second, finally, there was a liquid, a bad liquid, that obviously suggested to me that if the bad liquid is black, then my good liquid for this run was green. And yes, I did miss a few, and I only drank maybe one or two from this point onward. So possibly it could have been optimized even further. But as you can see, well, here is the first one, for example. So I finally know, so I gave myself a little bit of sanity back. Did it make any tremendous difference here? No. And this is where I'm going to mess up. Not critically, but this is a mess up. So performance can be better. I thought that I can spawn an orb between this first group of the tentacle and this boss guy. But obviously distance was not enough, and as soon as I started spawning the orb, it aggroed them. Did I have to pull this guy as well? No, I didn't. But I knew that even if I don't pull him, I wouldn't have enough time to get rid of the first aggroed group of the tentacle. And I already accepted mentally the fact that cranial defibrillation is about to go off. I knew I messed up instantly as soon as they aggroed, and I thought, might as well just go all in, pull this guy, do as much damage as I can with the remaining smidgens of sanity that I had there without the orb, without cranial defibrillation going off, and that's basically what I did. So was this the most optimal way to lose cranial defibrillation? Of course not. Absolutely not. I think I would have much rather been pushing till the end. Well, not that this run was set up in a way where I could have done 4 chests, no chance. But this is how I normally run. If cranial defibrillation is still there, I know that I can keep taking risks, can keep pulling more, and essentially how do you win in this as a lower geared alt with lower ranks of cloak? Well, you try to make your trash pulls really smart. You try to pull as much as you can, well, while staying alive naturally, yeah. And as you have noticed, if you watched my other videos, on the higher ranks of cloak, on the higher full clears, on mask clears, I obviously use the food buff. Food buff increases sustainability and allows you to push even harder. In this case, as you can see, I did not use a food buff. It is a baby alt as far as the cloak is concerned, at the very least. The only relatively, well, advanced is the wrong word, but the only relatively advanced part of it is the my Heart of Azeroth and the essences. They are greens, they are trash, but at the same time I at least have leveled my Heart of Azeroth way above 75. So I unlocked all of the essence slots and all that kind of stuff. So that, I guess, is a good thing. That's something that speaks for it. Well, plus, as I already said, Twilight Devastation, RNG systems of BFA that I'm sure we are not going to remember particularly fondly. And if you want me to make a bet, I also would not bet that they completely get rid of the influence and prominence of RNG systems in Shadowlands either. I don't believe so, because RNG is fairly easy to engineer, is fairly easy to implement, and the factor that RNG role does not always guarantee a result or does not always give you a targeted development of your character towards a specific weapon, towards a specific something, towards a specific um, piece of gear, is just way too advantageous for uh, developers to create RNG systems that like Twilight Devastation, right? It's not guaranteed that you will get a piece of gear with Twilight Devastation. But the other day I was healing a Mythic plus 0 or Mythic plus 2 or something, because I don't dare healing something higher just yet because I'm still learning my gears, so whatever. And some guy, and we were doing freehold, right? And in that Mythic plus 0 or Mythic plus 2, some guy got a ring from the, if I'm not mistaken, the second boss or something, it doesn't matter. But some guy got a ring with the top tier of Twilight Devastation on it as an effect. The ring itself was 430 because it must have been, yeah, I believe it was 430, so it must have been a Mythic plus 0. And there was the best roll, the god roll of Twilight Devastation on it. Everyone was just like, wow. Anyway, my point is, I know I'm ranting, but this is just generally how these unscripted videos go. Point is that a lot relies on RNG. So when you're running an alt like this through Horrific Visions, and they don't have something as powerful as Twilight Devastation, or at least Infinite Stars and that kind of stuff, well, then you are purely on your own cooldowns, on your own, whatever the class can pump out, and purely on item level. You're purely on raw white damage, so to speak, on auto attacks. That's all you have to play with, really. And when you have something like Twilight Devastation, and this is a baby version, but if I had a powerful one, I'm sure that suddenly changes your situation. Look, and here, Twilight Devastation did like 21% of damage. So even the baby version for this alt is doing like a lot, like really a lot. Anyway, now we are finally on Thrall. Thrall is never an issue, all that. You have, if you watched my videos before, you know my feelings about Thrall. I do believe that trash, especially on masks, especially when you pull bigger groups, trash is a lot more challenging than the bosses in Horrific Visions, especially in Orgrimmar, because in Stormwind, Illyria can become quite difficult, but Thrall is not really a difficult guy. Thrall is fairly easy to please. Yeah. So, and that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you today. Kind of have a little bit of this fun, I suppose, revisit of my core content, Horrific Visions. I still enjoy them, and now especially that I've been healing, releasing some guides, guys, for you, the healing guides for those who maybe haven't tried healing but would like to earn their place quicker in Mythic Plus dungeons to get the better gear, so that you can push Horrific Visions just like I do. So anyway, there is logic to this insanity. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate it. I appreciate additions to our little club. And I'll be speaking with you next time very shortly. Videos are coming to you every couple of days, as my regulars know, and hopefully you will know too. What do we have in the big chest? We have a wrist. Mind Flay Tentacle. Yeah, it's not bad. I might start using it. Talk to you soon. Thank you very much.